In the modern world, a high school senior named Danby is just days away from her university entrance exams. But there's a problem. She's terrible at math. So terrible, in fact, that she regularly falls asleep in class, much to the frustration of her math teacher, who calls her up to the board only to embarrass her for being unable to solve even the simplest equation. Back home, instead of studying, Danby wastes time scrolling on her phone and blasting music. Her mother watches with growing irritation. If you memorized math formulas the way you do those song lyrics, you'd be a genius by now, she jokes, blaming Danby's math deficiency on her father. No university will accept you like this, she adds. But what truly annoys Danby is when her mom changes the TV to one of those endless historical dramas. Fed up, Danby escapes to her best friend's house. Her friend gives her a sobering reminder, "This is your last shot. Fail now and you'll have nowhere to go." The next morning, Danby oversleeps and bolts out of the house late for her exam. Her mom wishes her luck, unaware of the storm inside Danby. On the bus, she tries to cram in some last-minute studying, especially for math, but when she finally reaches the test center, she forgets her umbrella, and rain begins to fall. Fear takes over, doubt clouds her thoughts. She sits in front of the building, soaking wet and spiraling into panic. "I wish I could disappear," she whispers to herself. Then, something strange happens. As rainwater pools into a shallow puddle, Danby steps forward and sees people dressed in ancient garments praying for rain. They cry out that it hasn't rained in 3 years. Suddenly the puddle swirls, pulling Danby in. When she opens her eyes, she's no longer in the city. She's in a different world, one that looks suspiciously like a historical drama. The people are in traditional clothes, the architecture is ancient, and a group of villagers stare at her as if she's an alien. The king appears and demands to know if she's a demon. Panicking, Danby blurts, "I'm just a high school student." But to the people of this strange Joseon-era world, her words sound like a spell. The guards draw their swords. Thinking fast, Danby pretends to be a prophet. "I know why I'm here. Please God, send the rain." Everyone repeats her words in unison. When they open their eyes, she's gone. Danby has already fled. She stumbles into a storage room filled with ceremonial clothes, disguises herself as a temple priest, and sneaks into a royal meeting. There, the king declares they must abandon old superstitions and start studying science and mathematics to solve their kingdom's problems. But the high priest protests. He believes math is sorcery and insists that only sacred rituals can end the drought. After slipping out again, Danby looks for her phone but is quickly captured. Facing execution, she confesses to the king that she's from the future. "I know a lot about history and math, too." She lies. Intrigued, the king gives her a chance to prove it. When presented with a math problem, she hesitates, then realizes it's the Pythagorean theorem. She solves it with ease, astonishing everyone. The king orders her to stay in the palace and teach mathematics to his people. But first, she must teach him. To her shock, he can't even count. She starts from scratch, basic numbers, addition, subtraction, gradually building him up. The kingdom prepares for a math contest against a neighboring city, and Danby trains the king rigorously. She even hits him in frustration when he messes up. Prompting the guards to draw their swords, the king just laughs. They hide their studies under the pretense of learning music, especially when the queen is around. When the king offers her royal meals, she's unimpressed and cooks instant noodles from her backpack. He loves the spiciness, but wakes up screaming the next morning, convinced he's cursed. She rolls her eyes. "It's just chili, not witchcraft." She explains digestion, the stomach, and even how the heart works. The king is in awe. Danby becomes a court sensation. The king sees her not only as a genius, but also as a visionary. He asks her to teach all his royal scholars everything, from math to science to agriculture. One evening, while sharing a tangerine, he scolds her for not appreciating rare fruits. She laughs. "It's just a tangerine." They begin spending more time together, playing ball, running through the palace gardens. Then one day, a mishap causes Danby to consume a love potion intended for the queen. She passes out in the palace, and when she awakens, things feel different. The king brushes it off, telling her to focus on her mission. If she succeeds, she can go home. But danger brews. She's arrested and tied down for mocking the king. The priests demand her execution unless it rains in 2 weeks. Undeterred, Danby builds a rain gauge with help from the palace musician. Days later, rain finally pours. Overjoyed, Danby cries, but the king is heartbroken, remembering she said she'd leave when it rained. He arranges for a ship to take her away, but she refuses. "I've been running all my life. That's how I ended up here." Meanwhile, the high priest, terrified by her influence, orders the musician to kill her, but the musician helps her escape instead. On their journey, he reveals he's known she's a girl all along, but respects her secret. Back at the palace, the high priest urges the king to destroy all of Danby's teachings, including a new writing system she's developing. The king refuses and sets off on horseback to find her. In the forest, guards find Danby and the musician. The queen herself appears, her feet bloodied from running, and begs them to return. Danby wanders alone until she recalls something the king once said: "The sun is Joseon's clock." She follows the light to the sea, where the king is waiting. Under a star-filled sky, they talk. Danby tells him that in the future, you can only see a few stars through the city lights. "Then look again," he says. "The stars were always there, you just had to choose to see them." He confesses his love. Back in the palace, the king begins implementing reforms, paying salaries, rewarding scholars, and spreading education. But opposition rises. Danby continues to teach in secret. She even befriends the lonely queen, sharing noodles and girl talk. Then, one day, she is dressed and prepared for a royal midday rest, a euphemism for the king's first night with her. Horrified, she runs. The king finds her and calms her down. "You're 19, not a child. I haven't touched you. I won't. But everyone's watching. Just stay here." Later, Danby is summoned to meet the Queen Mother, who looks exactly like her real mother. Overcome with emotion, she breaks down in tears. That night, the king shows her the astronomical system she helped create. Then he unveils his ultimate dream, a new alphabet with 28 characters, so everyone, not just nobles, can read. He places the royal hairpin on her head and proposes she stay as his queen. But Danby refuses. "I promised I'd return home once it rained. My mom is waiting." The king, devastated, tells her to go if she must. That night, someone strikes Danby unconscious. She's stabbed and the hall is set on fire. The king rushes into the flames to save her. The book from her bag miraculously shields her from death. The next day, the king confronts the high priest. "You should have erased your tracks." He turns to Danby. "Was that the voice you heard?" She nods. The priest is arrested. In the final scene, Danby looks at the money in her bag from the future and sees the king's face. He would succeed. His dream would live on. And that's a wrap. Thanks for hanging out with me today. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you never miss a video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.